coming back at you with yet another Snus review. I apologize a little bit for, I'm in a freshly sheetrocked room, so I apologize if the echo is affecting my audio. But yeah, I've been sheetrocking the house, starting to button things up a bit, so I wanted to kind of come into where I've been working. This is the room we actually started out in, and I left a couple spots open so I can show you something in a minute. Anyway, today, let's get to the point. Today, we are going to be checking out none other than Odens Extreme Double Mint Original Portion. Hell yeah! Yeah, this is actually the first few cans of this that I've actually had. I'm just gonna be honest, I've had probably 3 cans of this so far because I just went ahead and got a roll because for starters, it's cheap. This stuff here, it's only about $2.69 a can plus shipping, of course, which would vary depending on where you are, naturally. When I make an order, it generally adds up to right around $1 of shipping, $1 worth of shipping per can. So basically $3.69 per can. Odens original double mint extreme portion. I said that all jacked up, but you get the point. Definitely a cheap brand to buy because all of the Odens stuff seems to be right about the same price point. I mean, within a few cents of each other normally, and that spans across different websites. I've only ordered from 3 different websites so far, and the last few orders I've made have actually been from snusme.com. So, and if I can figure out a way to do that, I'll go ahead and throw a link to snusme.com down below. It's not a paid link. It's just, I think it's something you guys might be interested in knowing. That's it, if you don't already. Let's take a look at the can. Focus! There we go. Odens Extreme Portion. I like how they have Fantasy Sword right down through the middle and different spirit animals, which in many respects were actually sacred animals to the Nords, the way I understand it. I could be incorrect about that. To the Vikings themselves, because they were something to do with their religion. I'm not 100% sure because it's been a long time since I've studied that, a very long time. Anyway, we're gonna go to the side of the can, double mint, 20 gram. Come around here, Odens Extreme. It could blow your mind. And then Odens Extreme again before back to the barcode. This has a little bit different of a catch lid. Their design, Odens design seems to be just a little bit different than the standard, which I think I've shown this before, but I could be incorrect about that, so I apologize if I am. Odens catch lid is actually a hinged catch lid, all right? So you don't pop it off and hold it, you just hinge it out and it stays right where it's supposed to. But the thing that I don't like about their catch lid is the size. It's really narrow. I can only fit 4 portions in this before the top keeps trying to pop off, which I'm not a huge fan of. I really like the larger catch lids because sometimes I spend an entire day working inside, and when I need to take one out, I generally don't get up to go to a trash can. I want to focus on my work and get things done. So I just pop it out, throw it in the catch lid and go. These come with about, I want to say 18 portions in it, or at least this one did, which means they're about a gram, I believe. I haven't weighed them out. Worth of tobacco. These are listed at 21 to 1. 21 milligrams of nicotine to 1 gram of portion rather. So they're a decent hit, right? It's nothing to just kind of shrug off. It's not like it's a normal strength. When they say extreme portion, they mean there's quite a lot. When Odens Extreme came out, if I remember correctly, they were one of the highest nicotine strengths on the market. But I could be wrong about that, guys, so don't go flying at me in the comments, all right? Let's check out the portions real quick. Now the portions are original portions, and they have a decent amount of moisture to them without being like all jacked up and soaking wet. But when you fluff these up, you can tell there's a decent amount of material there, you know what I mean? We're gonna go ahead and hammer up. By all means, hammer up with me. Let me know, as some of you have in the past, what you're throwing down in the comments. I'd actually really like to know. It's kind of cool to know what people are throwing in the lip while they watch my vids. So, here we go. Let's hammer up. No real flavor yet, but we're gonna, that actually feels really comfortable on the lip, by the way. We're gonna let that set, let the flavor develop a little bit, and then come back, do our review. In the meantime, I got one quick thing to show you because I had a couple of people ask why the 2x4s are on the wall on the inside of my my R-Max. Here we go, I'm gonna show you. Okay, so here's the deal. This R-Max is actually 2 inches thick. So in order to mount sheetrock to the wall, you'd basically be hunting for the stud in behind the material here. So what we do is we put these 2x4s in. I run 6-inch screws all the way through to make sure that I have a solid bite on the stud in behind. Because if I hang anything on the wall, I'm actually hanging from these horizontal 2x4s. So I want a lot of screw back in there into the meat of the stud to make sure that this holds no matter what. So I run these 2x4s in, screw them in, and then I hang the sheetrock, as you can see here, right from these 2x4s. This sheetrock is being held by the 2x4s. The 2x4s are being held into the stud with 6-inch screws, which pins this material here right back to the wall, keeps it nice and flat, nice and firm. There's not gonna be any movement there. This is the most optimal way of building that I have ever found because it makes the home far more efficient, literally 80% more efficient. 80%, that's nothing to laugh at. Let's get it. Odens Extreme Double Mint Original Portions. Time for the full review, folks. All right, so it's been about 20 minutes since I threw that in. I'm back in the kitchen, as you can see. Technically the living room outside of the kitchen, but you know, it's a total disaster area up in here right now, especially right over there. We were blowing insulation into the attic. I went through 54 packs of bags of blow-in insulation. It took Ash and I full day, well, not a full day, but her full day of about 5 hours to do the living room alone because the trusses up here are what are called scissor trusses. So there's nothing flat to stand on up there. Everything is at an angle, and then the roof angle comes down, and it's just a pain in the ass for anybody who is actually climbing through these scissor trusses to do their job. So it took her about 5 hours to do just the living room. We threw 20 bags up in the living room. I have about an R44 value in here. To give you an idea, fiberglass insulation on its own that's 6 inches thick is R19. So I have right about an R44 value in the ceiling. Brad came over the next day, my buddy Brad. He came over and helped Ash and I yesterday and traded off with Ash in the attic space while I just kept feeding insulation into the blower. All together in the last 2 days, we've thrown 54 bags of insulation into the attic up here, and we were done after 48. So I just told them, fill in any low spots, any place that looks like it could use a little extra, any cracks, any crevices, fill it in. So an extra 6 bags went up there after we were already done because I had them on hand. They might as well go up where they belong. Yeah, so there was a good solid 10.5 hours of just blowing in insulation. All right, and this all, by the way, is while it is below 0. I think the warmest it got was 20 below. I'm not sure what that equates to in Celsius for those of you overseas. Actually, I could look that up real quick. According to Google, according to Google, 20 below 0 in Fahrenheit equates to 28.8 below Celsius. So that's the warmest it was the whole time we were doing the insulation. That slows things down significantly when you're trying to work like that, because up in the ceiling, in the attic space here, they're working above the insulation with a breeze flowing through there. The breeze flowing through there is on purpose to help keep the insulation dry. So that's by design. Yeah, it makes it really, really freaking cold for them up there work. And couple of times, because there's a fan going in the bottom of that thing, I was looking down in trying to break that stuff up, and all of a sudden, an air pocket blew, and it just blew insulation all up in my face, and I'm like, ugh! They laughed at me. The review of Odens Double Mint extreme original portion. Now that I've been jaw jacking here, it's been about 30 minutes. Flavor, super strong yet. Actually a really nice double mint flavor, all right? It is close to the gum. Obviously, it's not going to be exactly like the gum. But the mint is more subtle. It's not like, you know, you've got a lot of mint flavored snus over the course of the last few years coming out. Almost all of the really strong snus is considered to be more of a mint. It's really more of a spearmint, to be honest with you, less of actual mint. This is like a really subtle, soft mint flavor. It's not what I would say would be in your face, really strong, really potent. When I say the flavor is going really strong, it's as strong as it gets. It's not super strong at all. Subtle, it's nice. The portion itself feels really comfortable in the lip. And over the course of the last 3-4 cans that I've had of this, these things last a good solid hour, I would say. On average, I mean, there's a little bit of variation there. These things last a good solid hour. The nicotine right about the 10-minute mark is where it peaks and plateaus at. It starts spiking up right about the 3-minute mark. That's when you start feeling it a little bit, and it doesn't really come down off of that plateau for about 50 minutes or so. Good solid nicotine hit off of this without like blowing your mind. It's real nice. It doesn't necessarily give me a buzz, but definitely does the job. It does not leave a horrible aftertaste at all. There's the mint, there's just a little bit of salt in the background, not much. There's that really upfront mint taste to this, okay? Barely behind that is the taste of the tobacco. The tobacco is kind of middle of the road. It's not super high end, but it's not bottom of the barrel either. And in this, the flavor of the tobacco is not center stage, okay? It's not real forward. It's just behind the mint, all right? But you still taste the tobacco. Behind that is a little tiny bit of a salt flavor, but not by much. And it's not a table salt. It's more of a sea salt flavor rather than anything else. In fact, I would go so far as to pinpoint it more like a Himalayan sea salt, okay? And that salt just helps to kind of round out the mint flavor. It doesn't really add to it. It just kind of rounds it out. That salt is super in the background. There's no pepper to this at all, okay? There's zero spice, zero burn. It's just really mint, tobacco, and just a slight pinch of that Himalayan salt. Pink salt with the grinder. I got my boy in here today. He's helping me. We're just having fun. Yeah. The nick on this, the lastability, even the flavor, I'm actually surprised at how I'm taking the flavor on this because I'm not usually much of one for Odens, but I think my palate has kind of shifted enough that I can actually enjoy the Odens quite a bit more than I was. And I will be ordering more of this because it is pretty decent stuff. If I'm going to go ahead and give this thing a rating, okay, bear in mind, folks, my ratings are between 1 and 5. I would say overall, this is a good solid 4. I mean, it's good flavor. Lastability is on point at an hour, okay? And the nicotine kick from this, the nicotine is real solid. It plateaus, lasts a good long time. You know, there's very little that really brings this down. I like the can other than the small catch lid, but the fact that it's hinged in some ways is actually kind of beneficial. Definitely, if you guys like mint at all, okay, go ahead and give this stuff a try. Order a couple of cans just to see if you like it. You don't have to be like me and just first time out order a fucking roll. Order about 2 cans of this, see if you like it. It's cheap to buy, but it does not actually feel like a really cheap snus, okay? It doesn't feel cheap in the lip. This has not been fluffed up. You know, when you roll cheap snus, stuff that's real cheap, it feels hard, it feels lumpy in there and just not pleasant at all. This stuff here, when you roll it, you don't feel any of that. So it doesn't actually feel like a cheap tobacco. The portion material is on point. The tobacco inside is still on point. Odin has done a very good job with this product. A couple of the Odin's products I've tried over the course of the last, year and a half, have actually really been nice. And I think I'm gonna start sifting through some of their products and do more reviews on Odin's because this is actually surprising me. As always, acts of random kindness every single day, guys. Every day. Peace. I'm out.